21. We are live. I don't know why I went from 25, but we're here with Astronomy Memes again in this new kind of setup. This is where I record my secondary stuff. But yeah, some of my videos are recorded here. And welcome to the dwivscience podcast. We're here with our second return guest, Astronomy Memes. How's it going?
Hey, dude. It's going great.
Awesome. Yeah, and if you're listening on the audio version, I hope the audio is good. Got the new mic, but it probably doesn't sound too good because it's a $7 mic I got from eBay.com. But who cares? It's a mic. At least I have one. But yeah, have you heard about NASA going back to the moon yet?
Yeah, actually. I heard that they were going back in 2024, I believe.
So it's 2024. Yeah. I thought it was what made me think it was 2020, but I wanted to get your take on that because I don't know, I got reminded all I've been doing all day is just like playing Rainbow Six Siege but I was editing a video at the same time, a podcast moment while I was doing it, like in between rounds. And it was a podcast I did with Jacob, and we were talking about them going back to the moon. So I wanted to hear what your take on it is.
Well, basically, I think it's actually a very good idea. I mean, I know people are upset because it's like not going to Mars, but I mean, we're probably not going to be going to Mars until at least 2027 at somewhere in the 20s, if hopefully. But I think that going to the moon is really going to help simulate how it's going to be to live in microgravity/zero gravity environment, and how it be able to prepare the astronauts. It can serve as like a base of some sort. We can stop in between. And honestly, I think it's actually a very good idea, even though it will cost a little bit more, but it will really help with the training portion.
Yeah, almost like a foundation to get us to Mars, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was my kind of take on it. When I first heard that they're going back, I think I also thought it was going to be a good idea, because my take on it was that they could go there, and if I'm remembering right, they said they're going to do experiments on there, which is cool. And I remember even seeing a video, like when they originally went to the moon, he did I believe it was either Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin. They did this experiment where he dropped a feather and a hammer, I believe, or something. The Galileo thing on the moon, and it actually they both fell at the same time.
Right, yeah.
So, but I think if they could do other experiments like that, and just to not only demonstrate, but to help them and NASA and just humanity in itself propel us to space, I think that'll be good.
Right, yeah, I agree.
So, let's go back a little bit to, I don't know, astrobiology. That's pretty cool. Because I was, what's the word for it? I always stutter. I wouldn't be surprised if I have a speech disorder, because sometimes I stumble over words all the time. But
no, dude, it's all good. Just trying to get your thoughts together.
I was watching a live stream, I think, from, what's her name? Space Woman TV. She was talking about other life in the solar system. I mean, when it comes to life on, she said no, because I asked her, does she think that there could be other life in the solar system? But I don't know if you've heard, or if anyone listening or watching heard, but when they discovered a tiny imprint of micro life on a Martian rock. But conspiracy theorists might always say it's a fake rock or something.
Right.
But of course.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, because you can see that there was an ocean on Mars, because you can see the sort of dunes/mountains that have formed, and without the sort of tectonic plate structure that Earth has, there wouldn't really have been able to form without an ocean. So
yeah.
I think that there's definitely a possibility, because with water comes life. That's where most life is born. So I would not be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I had a teacher that once told us that that we're made of the ocean, pretty much. That's water and life and stuff like that. And like, if kids that would, I don't know, eat Takis all day and never drink water, you'd be like, why are you not drinking water? You're literally made of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think he was a health teacher or something, but he was a cool teacher. But
sounds like it, yeah.
The thing with him though was like, the funny thing was the kids that were bad in his class, he would make them like write 40, like for them it was a lot, but it really doesn't feel like a lot. When write 40 questions and then you'll have to answer all 40 like on just a blank sheet of paper.
Oh,
I bet it was horrible, but for them. And then he would but if you're good in his class, all we did was just play Gimkit, which is like a fun game you could play where you can like learn stuff at the same time. And so before I went into his class, people were telling me, "Oh, it's horrible. You're going to hate it." And then my class turned out to be, I guess, one of the good classes. So we got to do all the fun stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But going back to astrobiology, I went off track there. But I just ramble on about random crap. But
it's all good.
What about Europa? You know, the icy moons and stuff like that. I think maybe under those, perhaps, there could be life.
Yeah, I mean, once again, once again, as I stated before, water brings life. Definitely, like, it goes along with the theory that life started when a comet hit the Earth carrying water, because comets carry ice with them.
Yeah.
So I guess if you compare Europa to, like, I guess a comet, which isn't a good comparison in any way, shape, or form, since they're not alike whatsoever besides the ice.
Yeah.
There definitely could be life preserved or life thriving somewhere within the layers of the planet. I mean, we would always have to go and look for ourselves, because I mean, there's only so much we can do from that distance.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, if let's say that theory that they always say, which is most likely correct, that a comet hit the Earth carrying water and stuff like that. I mean, I guess also, well, what I was about to say makes no sense, but I'll say it anyway, is that, you know, when the Earth was forming, it was probably a lot of volcanoes and it was very hot.
Oh, yeah.
And so that could have melted a lot of the ice and made oceans.
Right, yeah, definitely. I mean, before, like, really, like, have you heard of the Great Dying?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that one of the 7 mass extinctions?
Yes. It's when there was so much volcano activity that it got rid of, I don't know how much it was. I think it was like a huge number of the life that was on the planet prior to even close to when our ancestors, if you believe in evolution, till any of those animals were around. So, I mean, it's most definitely a possibility, but then you also, because life could have started a while ago.
Yeah.
Could have been, like, extinctions in between, so, I don't know.
What if there is life before life that we know of right now? That would be interesting. Because
do you believe in the balloon theory of the universe expansion?
that it'll collapse on itself and then
Yeah, it probably could be like in the 4th or 5th or millionth stage of that.
Oh yeah.
So that's something to think about.
Yeah. What is your take on the balloon Big Bang theory? Do you think that is true, or do you think it's false?
I mean, it's probably the best way to describe redshifting. The redshifting happening all around us. I mean, if you do put planets on a balloon, or galaxy or dots on a balloon, and you blow it up, I mean, they are moving away.
Yeah.
But I guess another take could be like space around us. You could compare it to water, and we're all floating and drifting away. I don't know. You could, or like the edges of space-time, or it's like a vacuum and it's sucking us all in. Or, I don't know, there's multiple things you could think of that could be a probable theory.
Yeah.
So, there's always, yeah.
And it's just all about finding indirect evidence, really. I think it could be very helpful. It would be helpful and interesting and very difficult if scientists could take all the evidence for any scientific theory that they're getting at the moment for anything. It doesn't even have to be related to the Big Bang. And then somehow find a way. Well, I shouldn't say find a way because that's almost like defeating the purpose, but almost see if it can relate to the Big Bang, but not necessarily go too far to try to find a way, because that's almost like manipulating the evidence to support a theory, which wouldn't work in the scientific community.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the big so I see your point with redshift, how it explains if we're all dots on a balloon. But I think that kind of goes more with topology, like the shape of our universe. But what do you think about it, collapsing and a Big Bang happening again? Do you think that's possible?
Well, I mean, I think of it more as like, here again, like if you let the air out of a balloon, it goes really fast, right?
Yeah.
And like it all like flaps back in on itself. So I think that if that was the case, I believe that it would get to the point where we were stretched out so much that all of space-time would come in really quickly and blue shift super fast, that it would generate so much energy that it would just, when it hit all together, it would just go and back out again. And that's basically how.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I think of it anyways.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. Like if we think of the fabric of a balloon as space and time, and light is sitting on that space and time, and when that balloon, or space and time, expands very rapidly, that light stretches out and redshift happens, and so on and so forth and stuff like that, and just keeps going. So that it would be interesting. Do you think, let's say that the balloon, Big Bang theory is actually true. Do you think that energy, when it comes back in on itself, when it collapses in on the I'm stumbling over my words again. When the universe collapses on itself again, do you think the energy within it is destroyed, or do you think it's collapsed to, very small amount to where it makes a very energetic singularity?
See, I mean, dang, that's like a very complex question, but I mean, honestly, you've heard the thing that no matter and no energy is ever it's
created or destroyed
created in the beginning, but then it's never destroyed, right?
Yeah. So yeah, first law of thermodynamics.
Right. Yeah. I feel like the universe is just a big recycling frenzy. It's like when it does come back, when the energy smacks together, basically, I know that's not really how it works, but like if you're thinking about it in simplistic form, when it smacks back together, it's just like, so then it just like has to go away, and then it just, I don't know. My brain always farts whenever I try to think about this stuff. Like I go bad.
I mean, it's a complex topic, but
very, yes.
Perhaps, because if we take the first law of thermodynamics into mind, saying energy cannot be created or destroyed, which we could, hold on. A singularity, I just realized something. A singularity, right? A singularity is where the laws of physics break down. So perhaps the first law of thermodynamics can be broken when the universe comes back on itself. So
right, because when the universe was created, it had to create energy that didn't exist there before.
Yeah, exactly. And I think quantum physics itself, because when people ask me, how do you think the energy just popped into existence without a creator, I always say, if you want to use, because I'm like neutral when it comes to religion and science. I don't try to go on either side, but I always say, if you want to use science to explain this phenomenon, we can say that quantum physics has the simplest probability out there, a probability of something existing and a probability of something not existing. And that probability happens, and it just so happened that it had energy exist, and then that energy made it into its singularity. And then we could also say if the universe collapsed back on itself. This is something interesting to think about. Let's say that, I don't know, let's pick a random number. Our universe has collapsed on itself and re-expanded about, I don't know, let's say 4 times by now. This is the 4th one. What if there was aliens, like advanced civilizations, in some other, like say after the 2nd time, and they send the signal. And since when the universe collapsed back on itself, the energy is not destroyed, of course. It's just made into a singularity. And so some of the energy making up our universe can consist of the signals of other past civilizations.
Right. Yeah, that'd be interesting, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I just come up with these weird science fiction scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, I make up things like that all the time. Like, I mean, I think that maybe possibly we are living in a simulation, and once we figure out the secrets of AI and all those advanced technological possibilities, that we're just all going to shut down, and then basically the Big Bang would just be the game loading or something. I don't know. If you think about it in like a crackhead sort of way, Elon Musk sort of mindset, and I mean, you can get to that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of explains what we just went over, like all these crazy scenarios. It kind of explains why I love theoretical physics, because it can involve some of these science fiction like scenarios that actually happen.
Right.
So going back to our universe, let's think of our solar system first. You know, how fine-tuned our universe is crazy. Like if the Earth was just a little bit too far from the sun, we wouldn't exist. Or if the moon wasn't here, it would take even longer for life to evolve, or something like that. Or if Jupiter wasn't if Jupiter wasn't here, we'd be like, life would just be destroyed a whole bunch because of because of meteoroids and asteroids and comets and stuff like that. So, what's your opinion? I mean, I have I think a good argument for this using science, of course. If I were to use religion, I'd have an easy argument. But, what's your opinion on how that is?
See, I believe that basically when something is forming like that, there are so many different factors going into it that so many things are going to be canceled out, right? Like, if everything had gone to plan, we would have way more planets, right? But
yeah.
Like, have you heard of the planet that was going to form in between Mars and Jupiter?
No, there's actually almost happened.
Actually, what happened was that planet was pulled in by Jupiter's gravity, and so it was basically smashed to the rings, and that is why Saturn has those rocks and little pebbles as its rings. It's the leftovers of that planet, and so I mean, I guess just everything sort of fell into place, sort of, and then I don't know. It's just there's so many different ways that science can take course that I believe that we just somehow made the correct way. And also you can think of like, we evolved, right? We evolved to fit on the planet. So people say, oh, life is perfect on Earth, like life is so like it's the perfect environment. But also you have to think that life could evolve on a planet that we couldn't even think of living on. Like, maybe even Jupiter could have life if it had evolved that way. Because we can't just limit ourselves to thinking what life could be in our point of view from our science and biology, because we have to think outside of the box, outside of like what we know to be biology and just science of life in general.
Yeah, I think that what you said also can apply to Titan, one of Saturn's moons. And they're saying that there's not really a lot of water or anything, but there's liquid methane and ethane. And if we think outside the box, perhaps there could be life that could survive off of liquid methane and ethane.
Right, right. Yeah, like even since I was little, I thought it was crazy that they weren't exploring all these other planets because of, oh, it couldn't support life, human life. And I'm like, okay, but we've literally seen different species and little micro, like the ocean, for instance. It's so deep. There could be things living down there that we couldn't even like think that could live in that pressure,
Mermaids.
in that depth. Mermaids, yes, of course. Right. I mean, could be a possibility. We never know until we see it. But I guess it's just like that. We don't really know until we explore it. So to say that, I guess some scientists say like, oh, it can support life there, it's not worth going. I feel like that's a big A, mistake, and B, sort of like a closed-minded sort of decision and mindset to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so also. I mean, what if there's life on, I don't know, Venus, even though it's like scorching hot there? More than scorching hot, like deathly hot.
Right, yeah. I mean, and also acidic and basically just horrible.
Yeah.
People used to call it Earth's twin, but it's literally terrible.
It's Earth in like 1,000 years if we don't get rid of climate change.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah, like, were we to say that life couldn't evolve there, life could most certainly evolve there. I mean, I don't know, it's just hard to explain, I guess, because we can't even explain life ourselves. We can't even explain our consciousness. We can't explain where we came from. So who are we to say that life couldn't be somewhere else?
Yeah, consciousness also is like a big thing, like a big mystery. Yeah. Like, how does I think I heard from what's his name, Mikio Okaku. He said that consciousness is just electrons. What was it? Electrons connecting or something like that. It was. I mean, it's interesting to think about consciousness because, you know, neurons and stuff firing. That's and electrons, electric signals and stuff. That's just that's simply just like looking at your surroundings and stuff. But thinking in itself is a little strange. That's where things get weird. And I guess thinking.
Yeah, like if you look at some species, they're like basically autonomous in a way. Like they mate, they eat, and they die. That's all they do. That's basically all their form. And then I think that maybe humans started out that way. That's all we were programmed to do. But then as time progressed and we became smarter and we started figuring out that we could do things besides just whatever we were born to do or created to do, I guess, if you believe in creationism, or, I mean, even created in a sense that we were just mushed together through some weird science thingy. I guess that we basically, because, like, if you think, like, I don't know, 500 years ago, we were nowhere near as smart as we are now.
Yeah.
Like, the technology we have now, it's super advanced compared to, like, even the 80s. Like, my dad grew up with, like, a big, chunky computer. I don't know. But it's a very difficult way to think. And, I don't know, it's just weird to think about how you think.
Yeah.
Without consciousness, we wouldn't be able to have this discussion, and that's just trippy within itself.
Yeah. And I think I have something to say about that too, but real quick, I had a really important text message I have to answer to. There you go. There you go. Okay. So, I think, yeah, it reminds me of the Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. Like, for humans, I think this is something you would learn in, like, psychology class or something. But the first one, I believe, is physical. So, like, food, pretty much. It's really all it is food. The second one, I believe, is food and shelter is physical. And then the second one is, I always forget it. But the first two are, like, basic ones that even animals have. But then humans reach this level 3 and beyond that's strange. It's like more than just animal. And if you think about it, we started out as just animals. You know, our common ancestor that we shared with chimpanzees. If you you know, if we're using evolution as an argument here, our common ancestors were pretty much just a different type of monkey. But what made us evolve and not other animals evolve is the question. To have consciousness.
For that, I believe, have you heard of survival of the fittest?
Yeah.
I believe that maybe there was, I don't know, just imagine like in the jungle one day, right? There's a chimpanzee and it uses a rock to open a fruit instead of just banging it against the thing for hours trying to get it. Mm-hmm. And all the other monkeys or chimpanzees are like, hey, yo, that's pretty smart. I'm gonna mate with that dude because he seems pretty smart, right? That's what animals think. And that's basically still our kind of thing, because everybody goes for the most attractive person, right? And that's how society works. And it all goes back to that. And that's basically how, like, giraffes, like, all the other animals were eating all the leaves, and they couldn't reach the top of the tree. So then whenever they saw that this longer-necked giraffe was surviving, they went and they made kids with the tall giraffe, right?
Yeah.
Because the tall giraffe was able to survive because it did eat food, unlike the smaller giraffe, so they died out. So, I mean, that's basically Neanderthals. I believe that that's how we formed into those, and that from Neanderthals we formed humanoids.
What do you think about the people that say that Neanderthals? Because I've heard a lot of people saying that there's a new scientific discovery that Neanderthals don't have any shared DNA with us. I mean,
do they have evidence to support that?
The people I've heard say it, no.
Yeah.
No, they haven't shown me evidence. But I'll have to look into it. I haven't looked into it, but that's just what I've heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think survival of the fittest is the best explanation for that.
Right. Yeah, and even if Neanderthals didn't share DNA with us, I mean, when you're developing, there's always going to be, like, I don't know, weird species of animals that's going to also develop. But then at some point, we're going to be like, maybe humans and Neanderthals met up, right? But all the humans were like, ew, they're not as cool as us, they're not as good as us, so we're going to stay with our own kind. And then the Neanderthals were, like, trying to get with the humanoids, but nobody wanted them, so they all died out. I mean, that's basically how it could have been. But, yeah.
I mean, early humans are something really interesting to look into.
Yes.
I think my father is reading this book called Sapiens, which is apparently a really good book. I need to read it. Another interesting thing, I watched a documentary, I believe, when was it? It was a while ago. It was like 6 months ago. But I still remember it because it was so cool. It's Homo erectus versus Homo sapiens. I believe it's on YouTube. And pretty much, the Homo erectus almost beat the humans. They're all humans, but our species of humans are Homo sapiens. Homo erectus almost beat Homo sapiens. But the thing was, see, the Homo erectus were stronger. They, I believe, can run faster, and they use like spears and rocks and stuff. I believe. If I'm not right, please correct me in the comments or live chat or whatever. But the Homo sapiens, though, they were smarter, so they set like traps and stuff, and they figured out ways to get away from them. And the main thing at the time was that both were fighting over water because there's no water in the area where they're at, which was, I believe, in mid-Asia, somewhere around there. Because there was a big volcano that erupted. I'm not sure what, I'll forget all the details. But there's a volcano that erupted back then, according to history, that caused a lot of ash, and there's not really any water. So they're hunting for water. And Homo erectus tried to kill off the Homo sapiens, but the Homo sapiens, they were smarter. So it's almost like Batman versus Superman. If you've seen the movie, if you've seen the movie, even though they both end up teaming up against against Lex Luthor's monsters and stuff, Batman is pretty much gonna win. Like he's literally about to spear Superman with the kryptonite spear and kill him off. Yeah, but so it's almost like that. It's like smarts versus strength. And so Homo erectus were strength, Homo sapiens were smarts, and so they're able to outsmart the Homo erectus and find the water eventually.
Right. Yeah.
So I think
from that, them trying to find water, that could also explain like why we were culturally divided into, I guess, developing into different races also. I believe that could have been, we all had to split up to find water, right, and food, and so we kind of all just went to different places, and in some places there might have been more sun, so people developed more melanin than, let's say, people in a more
colder
area prone to, or colder area, or area more prone to what do you call weather, different, okay, that sounds dumb, but you get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, that also could explain how that happened. But
yeah, I think that's also I think I've heard that one before, but that seems the most what's the word for it, the most accurate, because if you look at history, again, I love history. History is awesome, but if you look at most history, I believe most to almost all of early civilizations all originate back to Africa. Even the, for example, the Native Americans, they traveled over. Dang, I always knew the name of the bridge, but it was some bridge or something over the Pacific.
It was like a land bridge, right?
Yeah, a land bridge. And traveled over that from Africa. They went from Africa up to Asia, traveled over the land bridge, and then got to America, and the rest of the story. Which is a really long one, by the way.
Very.
Yeah. And other civilizations and stuff, the Europeans and all that, they all originated from Africa, is what the evidence is providing historians and scientists and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting, and I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. We ended on some really cool explanations and cool discussions here. So what do you want to say to everyone either listening or watching?
Well, maybe have more of a Homo sapien mindset rather than a Homo erectus mindset in life, I guess.
Basically, guys, be smarter. That's the podcast. I want to thank you for coming on, and I'll see all you guys next time.